Hello, I'm Terry Gilliam from the Life After California group, and today I am honored to have my good friend Siyamak from the Epoch Times. Say hello, Siyamak.
And Terry, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Sure. So you are the editor of the West Coast version of the Epoch Times. Can you just give us a little bit of background about yourself, and we'll lead up to what why we're meeting here today about the documentary?
Sure. I'm originally from Iran, and I lived in Mexico. I lived in China, and I kind of came here over 20 years ago. I've lived in California for 23 years now, and I'm an entrepreneur, senior entrepreneur. And what happened was I got really fascinated with what Epoch Times was doing, with telling the truth across the globe. And I've lived in 4 different countries, and I know how important media is in the international community. And Epoch Times has presence in 21 languages in 35 countries. So I got excited to join them. And then I got into this journey of looking at the news, looking at the media, what we were told, what's covered. And what happens is that as an immigrant, you believe two things. When you come to the US, you believe the media and you believe the government. Those are the two things you trust. Because anywhere you come from, this is much better. Media has a lot of freedom. The government is a lot better than the rest of the world. And as I was actually working at Epoch Times, trying to we were building the paper, growing the paper, I was given the opportunity to start a show on California called California Insider. You've been a guest on the show, yes. And I've talked to different experts, across the state, and I realized we have so many problems. I've interviewed over 300 people in the state and on different issues across the state. And that's what kind of drove me to create this documentary. And remember, 27% of Californians are immigrants. And most of them are not paying attention because we come here, we think this is a great setup. We don't have to worry about anything, but I was wrong. So now I'm doing something about it with the documentary.
That's great. I can't wait to watch it, which comes out at 2 p.m. Pacific time today, which is April 21st, 2023. Well, since you came from other countries, can you tell us a little bit what it's like to live in another country where you have less freedom? And then also, I'd love for you to piggyback on that. What do you see happening in California that may be heading California towards what those other countries that you came from are starting to do?
Yeah, so in other countries, like the legal system is not on your side. It's on the government side, and where you're in China, you're in Iran, and Mexico. Unfortunately, there's a lot of corruption. Government officials, the police can be bought. The police can be bought to commit a crime. In Iran, you can't trust the system at all. The government can come one day and take everything you have. And in China is worst of all. China has a really good image, but then they will come. They could. I have this example, when you say, you have to be very careful what you tell the government officials. If you do something and they come and execute you for no reason, people around you will think that you were the stupid one. You did the mistake. It's your fault. You went against the will of the government. And even people around you will think you are stupid. They don't think the government is bad. At least in other countries, people kind of know. In China, it's so bad that people have gotten into this mindset of trusting following the government because they've been traumatized in the past. So California and US is very different. We have a legal system here. We have also the people have different set of values. The people, there's a lot of morality in the US still. When you sign a deal with someone, when you sign a contract with someone here in the US, you don't have to prepay them to get the products. In China or other countries. If you don't prepay, it's impossible to get something on credit. So there's no trust among the people anymore. And what's happening in California, unfortunately, we're kind of headed in the direction that China was. And I can see the regulation that's happening, all the things that are happening here. But I feel like what's happening here, it's not a communist, I don't think it's like a group of people that want to become communist. They just think these are good ideas, and then they have other people that figure out, oh, if we tell the public these ideas, they're going to vote for us, so let's do it. And we're going in that direction in California without really realizing we're doing it. So that's what I see. Unfortunately, California is headed in that direction. Especially, it's becoming very similar to China. Because I helped build a business in China. I kind of saw the regulation and how they were working.
One thing that you told me when we were together last August, when we were doing the California Insider interview about the Facebook groups, you said that in China, you have to hire the relative of a government official, or else they're going to throw the book at you. And I kind of see that happening in California. It's not what you know, it's who you know that determines whether you get punished or not as a business.
Yeah, unfortunately, things have got to the place where people that have connections, they have a bigger say. And there's another factor in California that we have to keep in mind is that one of the things I really appreciate about this country is the diversity of thoughts and ideas. You can have a lot of ideas. And when you sit in a corporate boardroom, the CEO listens to 10 different ideas and chooses one. And if you say what you think, you're not going to get thrown out of the room. But in the California government, unfortunately, the way it's become, it's like a small minority of people with the same ideas control everything. And even if the Democrats that are the middle of the road Democrats, they say what they think, or they disagree with someone publicly with these ideas publicly, they could get thrown out of committees, they could get thrown out of power. So this is something that's happening in California, which average people might not have any idea. This is really happening in the state.
So when you and I were together, I told you that my vote didn't count in California for 30 years on a county, state, a senator, a congressperson vote didn't count for 30 years. No one I voted for ever won. Why? So I'll tell you, this is a big question in the groups. You and I and tens of thousands, if not millions of other people can see what's happening in California. Why do Californians keep putting the same people back in office who keep pushing the same agenda that is just making California go over the cliff? Why do you think that is?
Well, the thing is, this is why we differ. Before I would vote for the same policies too, because they sound really nice. And who doesn't want to be nice? We want to help the homeless. We want to be kind. We want to be caring. We have some wealth in California. There's a lot of wealth here. We want to share it. And when we are given ideas that matches these, we want to do it. So we've kind of gotten into this mindset. We trust the people that we elect. We trust them to do a good job. So we just vote for the politics that we agree with. We don't really look at the policies. I bet you most average Californians have no idea what laws are passing. What's happening right now, which you can see in the documentary with all the things that we discovered around crime, education, poverty, cost of living. What's happening right now is we're paying back for the law. We are facing the consequences of the laws that we passed 10 years ago, 5 years ago. A lot more extreme laws are still passing that we will feel the impact of them 5 to 10 years from now. That's what is scary to me. And I think average Californians don't know this is happening. They don't know that things are becoming more and more extreme. They're starting to see bits and pieces. Some people are seeing that, crime is going up. And there's people that are stealing. Some people see homelessness. Some people see education is not that great. Some people are seeing they can't buy a house anymore, but they are not able to connect the dots. And what was fascinating to me, Terry, in this process of making this documentary, I realized people are leaving the state because of the government. It doesn't matter if they're liberal or conservative or they voted for the government or not. The government policies is making them leave. I give you an example. The housing costs. California state government is desperate to lower the housing costs. They always talk about it. They want to build more houses. They want to lower the costs. At the same time, they passed a law that mandates every new home to have a solar panel on it. Yes. That's going to add $30,000, $40,000 to each new home. It's kind of like the hypocrisy is very interesting. Like they are saying one thing, they want to do that thing. It's a good thing, but then what they do is the opposite of what they want to do. And at the same time, they're not really looking at the results. And the media is not holding them accountable either. The media is not really looking deeper into the issues. So that's what we did with this documentary. If people watch it, they really realize like what is going on in the state. And the most important thing for people that care about California is to watch this documentary and share it with everybody in California. because there is hope. California is not just a state that has that is passing crazy laws that doesn't make sense. There's a lot of competent people that have come here and built the state, and there's a lot of opportunities and resources in this state. We just need to, even if we could convince the leaders, the current leaders, to watch this documentary and realize, the policies they're working on might not be good for the people. So maybe we should consider new things to do. So that's the goal of this documentary, is to make a change from within.
Well, Siyamak, I hope you're right. I hope that the government leaders in California, in fact, for that matter, national leaders, I hope that they watch this documentary, because one of the things you mentioned in the trailer, was as California goes, so goes the rest of the country. And if you think about it, and I had lots of pushback on that. I heard lots of people say, no way this country's going that way. But think about it. When Joe Biden took office, this country was oil independent. We didn't need outside oil. Now we need oil outside the country. We're once again beholden to OPEC. We didn't have the Green New Deal being shoved down our throats in the rest of the country. Now we do. And I see, just as a guy who left California 2 years ago after 35 years in California, moving to Florida, where I love living here, I love the governor, but I see national policies coming in that are starting the cost of everything to go up. 3 years ago, the cost of gas was $1.99 in Florida. Today, it's $3.50, and it's been as high as $5. So I think it's very important, just as you said, that the leaders of this country and the people who vote for the leaders of this country watch this documentary, because they're the ones who are going to determine the make or break of this country. And I'm with you. I hope there's always hope for California. Some days it's hard to have that hope, but I love the fact that you guys put this together.
Well, thank you. And the thing is, the values of the people is really good here. And we need to bring that to our government. We need to demand that from our government. It doesn't matter their political party or who they are, but we need to really make sure that the government leaders have the same values as the people. So this documentary helps showing people what it is like on the ground and what the leaders are working on, the discrepancy between the two.
That's great. And I'll put can you give us the website where people can go to watch the documentary and tell us what they need to do if they want to watch it?
So you go to livingcamovie.com or livingcaliforniamovie.com, and you can just watch it there. And you'll get the signs to what to do there, and it's pretty clear. You can watch 15 minutes free, and you can share it with your friends and family members, and especially people in California and outside of California too, because there's a lesson. If you look at the states, you mentioned the policies affect the US, even just look at the states around California. They all have some sort of a problem that California has. Oregon has homelessness issues, and Nevada has high gas prices. Arizona has high housing prices. They all are impacted by some of our policies. And this is something that's impacting a lot of people. They will impact the rest of the country too.
That's great. Well, and then just one last thing. So you've got the California Insider YouTube channel where you've done hundreds of interviews with people. I would encourage people to go to YouTube, look up CA Insider, and subscribe. And you have an amazing group, and I'm not speaking to myself. You have an amazing group of people.
Yes, you did. You were excellent. Yeah.
Thank you.
The thing that we're doing different with California Insider is we're trying to bring real people with real stories to bring impact and to talk about the problems that we have so we can make California better. And giving people 30 minutes to tell their story in depth or talk about the problem in depth, it helps people really understand. Right now, most people get 2-minute sound bites on news about an issue. They end up not understanding what's going on. The goal of the show is to make California better.
Yes, and I would also encourage people to subscribe to the Epoch Times. I've been a subscriber for years, and I love it, and I get national headlines. And the great thing, can you just give the genesis real quick about the Epoch Times, why it started, and why it's so important that people subscribe to it?
So Epoch Times is a fascinating story. It started by a group of Chinese Americans because there was a big persecution in China. There's a spiritual practice, it's called Falun Gong, Falun Dafa. It got persecuted. It's about living by truth, compassion, tolerance, putting others first. Came to public in China, grew to 100 million people. Then the Chinese government banned it, persecuted it. When they persecuted it, no media wanted to cover this. And some reporters did cover it, but the mainstream media here didn't really touch it. And most of the Chinese language media is controlled by the Chinese Communist Party, anyways. And so our founder, he was a physicist. He realized this is going on in China. He started the paper with no money, no experience, out of his basement in Atlanta. And the paper grew from there. And a lot of volunteers and a lot of human rights activists joined to just help them. In 2004, we were able to print the English edition. And from there, it kept growing and growing. And the way we got really good at understanding the Chinese Communist Party. We know how disinformation works. We got really good at that, and that applies here as well. There's a lot of fake news. There's a lot of misinformation, where we are able to recognize what is true and what's not, and we try to help our audience. And there is a level of compassion in it. You know, we really want to educate our audience. We don't have any political agendas. We don't really want to be involved in politics, but we have to cover it. And so that's who we are. And now we are the fourth largest paper in the country in terms of the number of members.
Wow, that's awesome. I just can't even fathom that there was an uprising of 100 million people in a country and nobody in this country covered it to any degree whatsoever. I had no clue. So it's great that the Epoch Times is there. It's great that you're a part of it, and on the West Coast, especially with your California Insider YouTube channel. I can't wait to watch this documentary, which comes out in 45 minutes. And I would encourage everyone to go to leavingcamovie.com to watch it and subscribe to the Epoch Times and also California Insider. Any last thoughts for us, Siyamak?
Thank you, Terry. I think this is the most important documentary on California. I think anybody that can should watch it and share it with everybody. We really need this to get in the hands of everyone.
Well, I'll look forward to sharing it. So again, Siyamak, looking forward to it. Thank you very much. And let's go watch that in 45 minutes.
Thank you so much. Have a great one.
Thank you.
Take care.
So long, California. I'm headed